Are you into personal development but struggling to make progress? Then it's likely because of one of these two reasons. I know because I struggled with both of them in my teens as well as my early 20s until I figured out something from Tim Ferriss. He, in some interview, shared that he considers himself to be a human guinea pig. And the one thing you need to make personal development work for you is experimentation. Because the truth is, I am me, you are you. Well, duh, right? However, what most people forget about personal development is that it is personal. So a technique that works well for me might have the opposite effect for you, where it makes things worse for you. So the first thing that you need is a bit of self-awareness. And the mistake I made was that I was blindly following advice without thinking about what works well for me. To give you an example of this, I tried Brian Tracy's technique of eating the frog, which means doing your most important, most daunting, biggest, most difficult task first thing in the morning. That was the worst possible advice for me specifically, because one, I am not a morning person, so that task won't get done well. It is too much to handle at the moment when I'm just waking up. And because of that, I was less likely to take action. So it was a great technique for some people, not for me. Instead, Jordan Peterson, for example, has an idea of making your bed, which is the exact opposite of doing something small first so that you get into motion, so that you start creating some positive momentum. And that is something that is much better suited for me. But because I experimented with both ways, I got something that worked better for me. The thing is, every influencer, every guru, every person is going to tell you, this is the way. This is how you build confidence. This is how you build discipline. This is how you be more productive. This is how you manage your time better. And everyone is sharing their techniques like it's the only way. That is a lie. So always take advice with a grain of salt, including from me. Always go through, who am I? What is the idea behind this technique? And do I think this is going to work well for me? From there on, you can experiment with it. But the key to that experimentation is the second huge mistake I made and that I see a lot of people make. And the mistake is not personalizing a technique to fit your life, your needs, and who you are as a person. So to go back to Jordan Peterson's idea of making your bed, that was better than eating the frog. However, it still didn't work for me. Because I would make my bed, and then I look at it like, what's the point? I'm just gonna get back here in like 16 hours and I would pull away the covers anyway. There's no point in this. And so it was useless for me specifically. And the way I personalized this technique was that instead of making my bed, I would write a caption for a social media post, or I would go to Canva, or I would do 10 push-ups. I would do something that directly relates to my goals. This way, I'm starting with something small to create momentum, which is the idea behind his technique. And then I personalize it so that it feels good, so that it creates positive momentum, so that it creates positive reinforcement. And it is personalized to me. Another example of this would be James Clear's technique of the 2-minute rule, where if a certain task takes 2 minutes or less, do it now. However, most of my tasks didn't take 2 minutes. I wanted to go to the gym and exercise. I wanted to read 30 pages. I wanted to write an entire article or create an entire video. Guess what I did? I took the idea of a small task, and what I did was I created bare minimum habits, as I call them. So what I did was I'm gonna read 30 pages in this book, to I'm gonna read 1 page, which is very easily done. Instead of saying I'm gonna write an article, I would say I will write a paragraph. Instead of saying I'm gonna go to the gym for an hour, I will put on my gym clothing. And that is how I took the idea of the 2-minute rule, and I personalized it into a way where I could use it. So my question is simply this: what have you been learning the past month that you have not yet experimented with or adapted in some way? Just take out a pen and a piece of paper and write down a lot of the techniques that you could use. And I've given a couple of them in this video already, which would be eating the frog, making your bed, and a 2-minute rule. Start there. How can you apply these to your own life? Try them out, experiment with them, figure out ways in which you can use them for your goals specifically. And if one method doesn't work, either try to adapt it or use a different technique. There are so many things out there, and there are hundreds of ways to reach the same goal. So after you've given this video a quick thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, go and do that exercise now, where you list out the techniques you've listened to or watched or heard of, and then try to adapt them to your life, your goals, your personality, and what you want to get out of this thing that we call life. Please remember that everything you want is on the other side of personal development, and all it takes is to flip that switch and make a change in your life. My name is Michael, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.